Hey guys, welcome to some more World Cup fantasy. Now, the content has been absolutely cooking. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's liking, watching the videos, commenting, and all that. If you haven't already, go and join my mini league. The link is in the will be in the description, but obviously as well, I just zoom in quickly so that you can see it. The code is there to join my mini league. Get involved, bit of fun, compete against other players and stuff. Don't take it obviously not too seriously, but obviously it's going to be some good fun. So what we're going to do in today's video, well, I'm going to be talking about some of the best cheap players. Now, these are my personal opinions, so obviously take it with a pinch of salt and else what. But these are players I think that I should be targeting and you guys should be targeting as well. These are the cheap options that will get you scouting bonus points, but also alternative for the bigger nations where you want to save money and that. So if you haven't already, like, comment and subscribe, and let's head over to that. Well, starting my squad, I've already got some of these cheap options in my squad, and I'm going to start with goalkeeper. For me, these are two of the best goalkeepers that I think you can get for decent prices. I'm going to start with Bradjan Nyland, the Norwegian goalkeeper, currently owned by 2.9%. So he was classed as that 5% scouting bonus. Norway have some good fixtures in the first two, and if you're on a similar strategy to me where you're going to be wildcarded in match day 3, you don't need to look at that France game. You're just targeting those two fixtures. So for me, Iran and Senegal, obviously Senegal a little bit tougher, but definitely for that Iran game, he would get clean sheets, save points, etc. And then that. So for just 4.2 million, one of the more expensive, cheaper options in goal, but he is one I would be targeting. There are some others that I will show you. The other one that's currently in my team is David St. Clair from Canada. Good game, good fixtures against obviously Bosnia and Qatar. Again, looking at that 2-match game fixtures rather than the all three. Switzerland's even not a bad shout because it could go 0-0 or whatever. But just 0.6% owned. As of now, he would also class as that scouting bonus. Currently 3.8 million on that very, very cheap side of things. That would be a good option. Now, obviously, if we try and manage this to goalkeepers, take all these off, please. Yeah, come on. Yeah. Okay, goalkeepers. Oh no, yes, goalkeepers. Price, yeah. Okay. There are some very good cheap goalkeepers. And the first one obviously is the Colombian goalkeeper, Vargas, 4.3, and obviously again currently under that 5% owned at 4.4%. I would expect him to go up in over that 5% by the game deadline. But with some 3 good fixtures for Colombia, or well, I say 3, 2 good fixtures, and then a Portugal game, could be a bench option. But Abazistan, definitely Colombia should see that out. Congo, again, another one of those where good clean sheet bonus projections are there for Vargas. Currently at 4.3. Again, bit of that higher end of the cheap options. But for 4.3, with 2 good fixtures where clean sheet and save points could be crucial, and a scouting bonus of 2 points. So 2 and 2, that's 4 extra points. That is not bad. And I think with goalkeepers, they don't get many points. It's not like Premier League fantasy football where they're expecting to get 8, not 8s, 7s. In the World Cup, goals conceded will be punished more. So that's what I think. It's better to go cheap and spend money elsewhere. So yeah, Vargas is a definitely good option for that. My next one is actually going to be, if we head over to Mexico, and that is going to be Rangel. 3.9 million. Again, very cheap on that option. Games against South Korea, Korea Republic, and Czechia. These are 3 good fixtures for him. Play, obviously, first game of the tournament. So if he doesn't perform well, you can always substitute your other goalkeeper in. So that's not a bad shout. Under that 5% bonus, very, very cheap. And I would expect Mexico, the host nation, to be very strong on their turf. And I don't see South Africa or Korea Republic really out and out scoring. So he would be definitely a player I would be looking at. The other one, obviously, we spoke about Norway. Scotland. Now, obviously, Scotland's a little bit harder. Because I'm not 100% sure who the number 1 goalkeeper is. But I would be taking a punt on Gordon. Now, obviously, Scotland versus Haiti should be a clean sheet. Scotland should absolutely wipe the floor with Haiti. Morocco's a little bit harder, with some decent players. And obviously, that final game, if you're going for a wild card, it doesn't matter. If you're going for 3 games, I'd be looking at someone like Vargas or Rangel instead. But for 2 games, Craig Gordon could be a good option if he is the number 1 goalkeeper. And for 3.5 million, you would save money, which could help you in building a better squad. And the final goalkeeper, for me, you could be looking at is Rochet. Seemingly the number 1 goalkeeper for Uruguay. 4.1 million. Currently owned by 4.2%. Under that threshold for the 5% scouting bonus. I would think he probably could go up. So I'd be looking at other goalkeepers. But with 4.1 million is not a bad shout for him. And against Saudi Arabia and Cape Verde, definitely could again clean sheets and save points. Spain, obviously, anything can go, but I would probably wildcard anyway on that week. I am definitely, but for you guys, probably could. So those are my number 1 options for goalkeeper. So Vargas, Rossetti, Rangel, and Gordon, 4 good, and obviously St. Clair and Nyland. 6 good cheap goalkeepers that you could be saving money rather than going on the likes of Manan, Neuer, Pickford and stuff. So those are options definitely available for you guys there. Okay, moving into the defence. Well, I think the most talked about cheap defender so far is Jonathan Modico. Currently under that 3% ownership. He is being talked about a lot on videos. Myself and other content creators and bigger FPL and World Cup content creators are talking about this guy. So obviously he could go up into that over that 5%. So obviously just be careful on that one. But he is currently 0.7 million cheaper than Munoz. And we know how good Colombia fixtures are, obviously with Uzbekistan and Congo, for the first 2 fixtures anyway, would be a great option. Obviously would get the same points on clean sheets as if you went Munoz. Obviously maybe lose that attacking threat that Munoz has, but you could also get that 2% scouting bonus over the 2 games, which then would probably equivalent Munos's form anyway. Another one from obviously Norway, I've talked about him a lot, is Julian Ranson. Again, we know how good Norway fixtures are. The starting left back, he's very attacking. Played for Dortmund last season, and I believe he got 13 assists from left back. Don't quote me on those assists, but I believe he had a good record in the Bundesliga in 38 games. So if you see, obviously, them going attacking, obviously under that 5% threshold, he is one of those players that I do think could go up there, with obviously Norway having those good 2 fixtures. But maybe with that France game, people are looking at that and going, we won't go near him. And that could get you in that 2% bonus points. Another one you probably would want to be looking at, get rid of this one, is, if I can find it, Czechia. We head to Czechia and Corfal. Now, obviously, Czechia Republic are one of those teams you're not really expecting many clean sheets, and you probably won't be expecting them to go through the group. Under that 5% threshold, so you get those bonus points. Korea, South Africa and Mexico, they're not the easiest fixtures for Czechia. If you had a better nation, you'd be really targeting those fixtures. But for obviously Czechia, it's not the greatest fixtures. But for 3.7 million, one of the cheapest defenders on the game, you could definitely use that money and improve your squad elsewhere. So for me, here's one you should be watching at. Maybe not the best cheap option, but if you need to budget and you are looking for someone who's under that 5% threshold, Vladimir Kufal from Czech Republic could be your man. Now we're heading to one of the biggest nations in the world, Brazil. And you're thinking, Brazil, why would there be a cheap option? Well, this isn't a cheap option, but this is a starter for Brazil, or supposedly the starter for Brazil. Just 4.5 million, and there is obviously competition for Brazil on how big there is. But this man is Wesley from Brazil. Currently owned by 1.9%, so he automatically becomes under that threshold. And obviously, when I think people go Brazil, they want obviously Marquinhos, Gabriel, Bremer, and stuff like that. Well, you want to be targeting the right back and the left back rather than the centre backs for Brazil. And I think for Brazil, he's going to be the starting right back for Brazil under that scouting bonus for a big nation that's going to probably get clean sheets. And some maybe attacking returns. Obviously, Morocco's not a great game, but I do see Brazil winning. So it's not like, I don't think they can get a clean sheet, but they definitely will win that game. Haiti probably will get clean sheet, so you're getting scouting bonus on that. Could get an attacking return or assist or whatever. And then obviously Scotland, anything can go. Wesley is one of the biggest options I'd be going for a big nation like Brazil. We spoke about Colombia, Czech Republic. Next is obviously Ivory Coast, and they got a very good defensive squad. But the player I'd be looking at is Yan Dormonde. Now, I had originally had him in my squad, and obviously with that Ecuador game and the last game of the match group, they are very good fixtures for Colombia. Bit of a punt on him, 4.3. Obviously, we spoke about some other cheaper options that you could probably go and get better. But for someone that would definitely be the starter, and is a differential to what other people are picking, Usman Demonde from Sporting Lisbon would be a great option for you guys. He was originally in my squad. Obviously, isn't now, and that's nothing to take away from Ivory Coast. But I am looking at a little bit cheaper options to save money to go bigger elsewhere. So he is one of the options I'd be looking at. We're going to head over to Mexico. No, we're not. Sorry about that. I just saw the price. Next, we're going to USA. And we're going to be talking about a man called Sergino Dest. 4.3 million. Plays in that US side, home nation. A game against Paraguay and Australia, 2 great fixtures. And you're thinking, USA, they're not great. This is a man that's playing a right wing back. So he's going to get defensive points if they get clean sheets. He's going to get attacking returns because he's one of the highest players in the USA pitch. They had a friendly yesterday and against Senegal, and he scored and won 3-2. Yes, obviously that doesn't scream alarm bells for clean sheets, but he's going to be a differential pick under that scouting bonus point. At just 1.4 million. So even if this video comes out and it blows up and I get 100 million views, which I would hope it does, but it's not going to happen, but he would still be under that 5% before the first game of the tournament, and he's going to be one of those players I think you should be attacking. So they're going to be my options. So Jonathan Mojiko, Ryanson, some Gino Dest, Diamande, and Wesley are some of the best options I think you could be going for. Moving into the midfield, and this is where you probably want to go big, but there are some very, very cheap options that you could target. And we're gonna start with some of the bigger nations. And probably the most talked about is James Rodriguez. Currently under that 5%. To me, he'd be one of those players that do go up. He's currently at 6.5 million. So not crazy expensive, but also not cheap. But again, we've spoke about Colombia defensively and offensively. If you're trying to save money on Luis Diaz, yes, is the better option. But you could go James Rodriguez as a cheap option. The only option, obviously, is whether he's going to play 90 minutes. He'll play all 3 games. It's whether he's going to play 90 minutes. You could be taking a punt on the first 2 games and hope that he gets maybe 75, 80 minutes in both games. That is enough time for him to get an assist, a penalty, a free kick, corners, a goal, whatever. Would get those scouting points. So he would be definitely a player I'd be looking at if you want a alternative to Luis Diaz. We're going back to Ivory Coast. Oh, no, he's not under midfield. Okay, we won't be going to there. We're going to head to Germany, a big nation. And you're thinking Germany, well, where would there be cheap options? You've got Musiala, Wirtz. But there is a player who is supposedly going to be starting right wing for Germany. And that is the German Leonard Karl. Plays for Bayern Munich. Under 1.4% owned. Fixtures-wise, Cucurella, Ivory Coast and Ecuador. 3 good fixtures for Germany. And if he starts on that right wing that he did play in the friendlies, alongside Wirtz and Musiala, for 4.8 million into a German side that's very, very attacking, and a big nation, to have him in would be a brilliant option. 4.8 million, 1.4% owned, would be under that scouting bonus. He is a player you should be looking at. If obviously, I don't think he's going to put the numbers up like Musiala or Wirtz, but if you want a cheaper option to save money elsewhere, or to get two German attackers in, Lewis Carl should be your man. We're going to be heading over to Scotland now, and we're going to head for Scotty McTominay. Now, Scott McTominay would not come under that scouting bonus, and I've picked him in because of his fixtures. He's going to be the penalty taker. We know how good he is, obviously, since leaving Man United and doing it in the Serie A. A game against Haiti definitely is a good fixture for Scott McTominay. Even if you just want him for 1 week, Scott McTominay would be a great fixture against Haiti. Morocco, again, not the best fixture for Scotland, but if they need results, that is the one man you want on the penalty. You want a man who's going to go forward, a man who's going to get his head to it, who's going to fight for his nation to try and get them out of the group. Scott McTominay, McSaucy, is the one for you. 6.5 million, yes, it's a bit expensive, but if you want a cheaper option compared to the likes of Luis Diaz or Rafinha or etc., with a good game against match day 1 and in match day 2 where anything could go for Scotland, Scott McSaucy, McTominay is your pick. We're going to head over to Switzerland. And again, this Switzerland. Again, kind of the same with McSaucy. Bit more expensive at 6.2 million. Above that 5% threshold is Granit Xhaka. Again, same with Scott McTominay. On the more expensive side of the cheap options, but will be the captain for Switzerland. So he's going to be the go-to man. He's going to be the penalty taker, corner taker, free kick taker. And if they need a goal, obviously they do have a decent strikers, but Granit Xhaka could be the man. We know what he does for Sunderland. We know what he's done throughout his career. We know what he did in the last World Cup, in the Euros, etc. He is a good option if you want to save money to go and get a bigger premium midfielder or attacker. He is a man you could be going for. And the last one I'm going to be going for is Austria. And he is Mark Sabitzer. Now, we just spoke about Granit Xhaka and McSaucy. Those two options are cheaper than Marco Sabitzer. The problem with Marco Sabitzer is that he's going to be, again, the penalty taker, captain, corner taker, free kick taker. But they've got Jordan. They've got Algeria. 2 great fixtures for Australia, who are going to be trying to look through to get through the group. Obviously, that Argentina game in the middle is not great. If he had been at the match day 3, I think a lot of people would have more picked him, but he's currently at that 2.8% threshold. And he's definitely an option you should be trying to look out for. So those are my midfielders. Some good options in there. Not only from smaller nations, but some big nations as well that have some decent players. We're going to talk about forwards now. And this is a position where I don't think you should be going cheap options, but if you really have to, there are some good options. And again, we'll probably talk about Austria. Altovich. We spoke about Sabitzer. Well, we know he's going to be the number 9. For 6 million, 0.6% owned. Jordan and Algeria, 2 great fixtures to take upon on Altovich. We're going to head over to Canada now for a bit more money, but still under that threshold of 5%, is Jonathan David. Bosnia and Qatar, the number 9 for Canada. Decent option there. We're going to head back to Colombia now, and we're going to talk about a man that a lot of people are talking about for just 5.7 million, under that 2.5% threshold, is a man called Luis Suarez. Now, we're talking about not prime Luis Suarez that played for Barcelona. No, this is Luis Suarez from Colombia. Great fixtures, 2.5% owned. Will go under that scouting bonus, and is for just 5.7 million. Is a great option. We're heading over to nope, that's the wrong one. For 7.4 million, we're going to be talking about Son Heung-min. Obviously, we know how good he was in the Premier League. We know how good he is for Korea. Obviously, a bit of a higher, cheaper option, more expensive option in that cheaper price bracket. Obviously, not blowing the budget like on Haaland, Mbappe and stuff like that. But 7.4 million, under that 5% owned. We know how good Son is in attacking positions, corners, free kicks, penalties. He's got it all. With Czechia, Mexico and South Africa, three very good options to get goals and assists and scouting points. So those are going to be the end of my video, guys. Those are some of the best cheap options for midfielders, for goalkeepers, midfielders, defenders, forwards. Obviously, there are more, and obviously that is for you to find out. But those are some of the best options that I'm looking at, and I think you guys should be looking at to get scouting points, save money, and also being a differential. So if you did like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, because there is so much more World Cup fantasy football to come. And if you haven't already, go and join my mini league. It will be the link and the code will be in the comments and the description. Free to join. Come and join in. Have some fun. Compete with players who've never played and who have experience. Doesn't matter. Everyone is welcome. Building the community, but most importantly, let me know in the comments down below who you thinking are. What cheap options have you gone for, and what cheap options that you think could be very, very good. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.